What's going on, YouTube world? We are here today to talk about 10 things that you want to think about before you decide to pull that retirement trigger. Stick around. Like that? I don't think that's the trigger. So believe it or not, Merriam-Webster themselves has defined retirement as pulling out or leaving from action or danger. And depending upon where you work, you might feel the same way. A more interesting definition I thought was from the Cambridge Dictionary, which literally means to leave your job or to stop work due to old age or ill health. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't exactly want to do either one of those. You know, my job wasn't super dangerous, although I did teach middle school students, so, you know, it had its challenges. But it's also, I didn't want to retire when I wasn't able to actually physically go to work anymore. So I did, and I'll be 40 soon, and there's a little bit of concern knowing that if I'm officially retired, that means I've got probably, statistically speaking, knock on, I don't think that's wood, decades of not having a formal job or work or paycheck to come home to. So I want to talk today about 10 specific things that I think is important for you to think about prior to you pulling that retirement trigger, and give you guys some of my experiences with what retirement has been like over the past just over a year or so. Here we go. Number one of the best things to think about that you might actually want to start thinking about now is, what are you actually going to do? You know, the allure, the facade, the light at the end of the fictitious rainbow that says, hey, you're going to get up and not have to go to work. You know, some might find that exciting, and for the first week, it's going to be very exciting, you know. You get to sleep in as long as you'd like. But after probably a week or so and indulging the Netflix arts or the streaming services of your choice, you're going to find that you're going to want to find something to do. Now, depending upon your situation, that could be a variety of different things. Maybe it's volunteering with an organization that you find passion working for or volunteering for. Maybe it is going and experiencing new things. Maybe you're going to go on a travel adventure of a lifetime. Maybe you're going to live in a new, different environment that you've never lived before or haven't lived for a long time. But the biggest thing that you want to think about is, what is your day-to-day life going to look like? Because you'll find out very quickly, as I have, is if you don't have projects on hand, if you don't have things that you've planned out that you find productive and meaningful, life can be a little challenging and frustrating and sad. So don't be sad, get glad by making a plan and figuring out what are the things that you enjoy and what are things that you can start to put in place now, so that when you do hit that retirement button, you've got a schedule, you've got something to accomplish when you got to get up and find that thing that's going to give you value. So biggest thing, number one, is find something that you enjoy doing that doesn't have to have money. I mean, if you make money with it, that's cool too. Maybe you start a YouTube channel. Maybe you make videos and stare at a little camera and hope thousands of people don't make fun of you, hypothetically speaking. But find something to do, and find something that you find a passion for. And if you can do that and you have the funds to be able to do it without having to worry about making money, that's even better. Number two, where are you going to live and why? Now, this is a global world we live in. You can access just about anything, anywhere, anytime, given the internet capabilities. So thinking about where you're going to live and why you want to live there. You know, for me personally, it was actually leaving the United States, moving to Jamaica, and there's a long backstory. There's several videos. If you just check out the channel, if you shameless plug, yeah. But yeah, the specific region that you want to live in and why you want to live there. Maybe you have family there, maybe you've been there once and you want to experience what life is like, not having to just be a visitor, as I've enjoyed doing. Maybe you just want to try new things. And one of the biggest factors with that is obviously going to be cost of living. You know, I purposefully moved from Hawaii after selling our house there to Jamaica. And while the income has greatly decreased, if had been nullified, I don't need it. I'm retired, and even though I walked away from a six-figure income and a great house that was very enjoyable and a beautiful environment, I made the choice to move to another beautiful environment that just didn't cost as much to live there and allowed me to get to do the things that I wanted to do while I lived there. So yeah, think maybe that means you're living where you're currently at, and that's cool too. Maybe you've got everything set up in a way that is productive and useful and meaningful to you, and that's an easier path to take. But maybe you want to try something new. Maybe you want to travel and live in different areas, again, for longer than just a few days of vacation. And I think it's going to be interesting, and it will give you something to get to take away from your experience while you get to live there, more as a local than as a tourist. Number 3, budgeting your money. I use an app called Good Budget. It's free. It's basically an electronic envelope system. And while I've been budgeting for the past over a decade, every single month, put the money on paper on purpose before the month begins, so I know where everything's going, I know where everything's coming in. Making sure once you're retired, you stick to that budget and you develop that budget so that you know how much food money you're going to need, how much going out and entertainment money are you going to spend, which will probably not be enough, means that you find yourself with a bunch of extra time on your hand and wanting things to do. Hypothetically speaking. How much are utilities going to cost? How much is your vehicle going to cost? Is your vehicle paid for? And if it is, fantastic, but it's still going to have things like wear and tear that you're going to have to worry about. Gas, since you're going to be traveling to so many new places and adventures, and obviously insurance as well. So creating a budget and sticking to a budget, super important. If you're interested in learning more about that, please shoot me a comment and I'll get you guys some information on what I've done and what works for me. But making sure that you have a plan on paper on purpose before each of the months begin, because when you don't have a discretionary income coming in anymore and you need to stick to a set budget, not knowing where your money is going is not going to be a very enjoyable experience, hypothetically speaking. Next one. On that note of budgeting, I want to talk briefly about managing expenses. Now that you are retired and you have removed yourself from that danger of work and no longer have the extra income coming in, it's important to realize that you're going to want to find things to do. And those things that you want to do most likely are going to require money to get to do them. So managing your expenses and mapping out a plan. We like to do ours annually as far as major, budget plan, especially when it comes to like travel expenses. So for us specifically, we set aside a certain amount of money each year so that we could, in theory, take X amount of trips. Now, plans change sometimes and things happen and you find yourself maybe not taking as many trips as you thought, but you still have those funds set aside. So maybe you get to figure out how else you're going to use those funds before the end of the year because you've already set them aside. But if you are going to go traveling, if you are going to want to start ticking off that bucket list, make sure you have a plan on purpose before you actually go out and do those experiences, because most likely you are going to be spending more than you had anticipated. And by the time you get to the end of the year and you want to take that extra trip and the money's not there, discipline is going to be a major factor in your peace and mindfulness and happiness. Because as you see for the first time that retirement account of yours going down rather than going up, it can be a little daunting, but rest assured, I'll talk about investments in just a little bit. But rest assured that, if you've planned for those expenses, those extra activities, those travel experiences, and you've done that on paper and you know how much you want to spend, then actually going on the trip is going to be much more enjoyable than sitting in one variant and throwing it on a credit card and hoping one day you'll pay it off later. Not that I would know, but keep that in mind. Stick to your plan, have a plan, enjoy the vacation, enjoy the traveling, enjoy the projects, enjoy the experiences, and they're going to be that much more enjoyable when you stick to what you've already agreed to get to spend. That gets me to my next one. Managing your spouse. Let me be clear here. Managing your spouse time. Maybe that's a bit more specific and accurate. If you are married and you find yourself going into retirement, you will find out very quickly, especially if both of you are working, and let's just say maybe both of you are actually working opposite shifts. You didn't have as much quality time together as you had wanted to have. Well, when you're both retired, you're going to be around each other a lot, every day. And even, on the days that you go out, they'll be there right next to you. Maybe metaphorically in the backseat driving. But it's important to recognize that you and your spouse are different. And maybe you're in a relationship where you find that if we're next to each other all the time, every day, 24/7, it's a great thing, then I'm happy for you. But if you find that you've got extremely different personalities, maybe even different cultural backgrounds, and maybe there's an age gap slightly, and you realize that I need to find some me time. It's important to develop hobbies that are beneficial and enjoyable for you as an individual. Yes, two became one when you got married, but you still are an independent person. It can put a little strain on the relationship, I've heard from a friend. So just prepare yourself for knowing that you are now going to have a bunch more time with that lovely significant other of yours, and it's important to realize that, depending upon the relationship and what works best for you, that finding things that you can do in your own individual regard may be beneficial and maybe not. And one thing that we've enjoyed as well is setting up specific days or specific projects that we get to do together that help build our relationship, and especially in the circumstances that we're in, finding that we can be pretty chaotically busy with a bunch of other little ones around, often knowing that there's designated time that is going to be just for the two of us has definitely improved our relationship into this retirement journey. So good luck with that one. So the next one gets a little, I don't want to say complicated, but just hear me out. Finding joy in the willingness to do things that most others are not willing to do. Just let that one sink in for a second. Yeah. What are some things that you know that you have a tolerance for, that you're willing to sacrifice your time, maybe your energy, or benefit or donate your skills to, that brings you a sense of accomplishment, a sense of pride, and follow those things, pursue those things. For us specifically, it was about coming back to Jamaica and getting a chance to foster and eventually adopt and help out the kids here in Jamaica, where my wife grew up and where I met her. Maybe you have a skill that you enjoy getting to build things. You enjoy getting to help others learn new skills. As a retired teacher myself, I do miss that learning factor when you see the little light bulb go off and the kids light up literally and figuratively when they learn a new skill. They develop a new appreciation for something that they've been working towards or that they've wanted to learn. And I get to take pride in knowing that, because I helped them, it was a successful accomplishment for me. So yeah, when you are thinking about retirement, think about what are the things that sets you apart from everybody else, that gives you an opportunity to continue to pursue the things that interest you while also being a benefit to the community around you. Maybe you start a YouTube channel and share your your life's journey with the rest of the world. It's fun. Next. Now, I might be perspiring here with my authentic Jamaican perspiration. I put on a collared shirt. You're welcome. But you should not sweat your investments. Coming from personal experience here, where I've spent the last 15, 20 years putting in money into my retirement account, seeing those retirements grow, and now having to make some small few adjustments to my investment original plan, but keeping things very basic. I am not a financial advisor by any means, and everybody has their own investment strategies, but mine are very simple with index funds and S&P 500, and knowing that there's going to be ups and downs and all arounds on the stock market game roller coaster ride. That said, I also have a 3-year cash cushion that's either going to be split between money markets or CDs, so that if there is a dip in the market, I'm not taking out money out of the market when it's gone down. But it's going to be a different understanding and appreciation, and when that money you see is now going down, even though it'll sometimes and most times obviously keep going up, taking a deep breath and realizing that you're retired, you're in it for the long game, you have a set plan. Maybe you need to talk to a financial planner or advisor, maybe you want suggestions, but be willing to just understand that you are now in a different investment world. You're no longer aggressively throwing money into whatever investment platforms you choose. You're now taking a deep breath and realizing, okay, I'm going to be pulling from this. It's going to go down. Life's going to be okay. It's still going to go up as well, and hopefully, consist with the average that it's been doing for the last several decades or centuries. And realize that life's going to happen. You're going to have a budget. You're going to stick to that budget and know that at the beginning of the year, this amount of money is going to be spent. And by the end of the year, obviously track that. And maybe it means adjusting. Maybe it means adjusting how much expenses you have for the following year if your investments don't perform the way that you had anticipated. So don't sweat it. Take a deep breath and realize that you're just in a different chapter when it comes to your investing. Number 9, my personal favorite, enjoy your coffee time. Now, if you don't drink coffee, that's totally fine. Maybe it's tea, maybe it's cocoa, I don't know. But what I mean by enjoying your coffee time is simply that there will be things that frustrate you in retirement. There is going to be times when you find yourself agitated with things that normally you wouldn't find yourself agitated with. I've read some books, and in those books they've said in science, right, that no matter how our life circumstances changes, we're always going to find things that aren't going to be perfect, that we put our mental fortitude into and realize that they're frustrating, they're challenging. When those times happen, it's okay to take a break and to take a deep breath and realize, hey, I'm not going to work. My bills are paid. My house is paid for. Maybe my car is paid for. Everything financially is taken care of. I have peace of mind. Maybe the fact that we ran out of toilet paper isn't as big as a deal as I thought it was, hypothetically speaking. Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff, man. You've worked hard for this journey and you've gotten to it, and things are going to come up that are going to bother you. And sometimes you have to just take a step back, or a seat, or a coffee break, and a deep breath, and recognize how far you've come, what it took to get there, and that you deserve to enjoy this experience as best as you can, right? Like, things are going to happen, and they're going to bother you. But at the end of the day, when you've worked and you've gone through so many different things in your entire life, is it really that big of a deal? So have a coffee break. Iced if it's hot out, because it's hot here. And last but not least, this one I didn't really recognize until I have gotten into a year plus of retirement, is the willingness to never stop learning. Not to get all sappy on you guys, but one of the things that I found frustrating about my professional career, even as a teacher, is that once I reached a certain level, I found I had stagnated when it came to my own personal growth, right? Like, I don't know, maybe you had that teacher in your life, maybe you didn't, it was just rinse and repeat every single year. The things on the walls had been there for collecting more dust than you can imagine. But for me, even though I had a very successful teaching career, it got to the point after 5-6 years of teaching the same subject, and not to toot my own horn, but winning all of the competitions that we've attempted to win, that I no longer was challenged in a sense that nothing was new anymore, right? It was the same content, the new kids, and that's why I love middle school, because kids and their personalities are always an adventure. But for myself personally, yeah, the learning, it came to an apex, and I found that frustrating. It was, and probably part of the reason why I chose to walk away when I did, even though I could have been doing that same thing for the next 20 years, making a bunch more money that I probably would never even spend. So having been retired now, I don't like using the F word unless I really mean it, but it's been kind of fun to try out new things, right? Like you get this idea like, okay, I've got a place here, we're gonna have chickens. Okay, well, what do we need to have chickens? Well, we got to build a coop. Well, I've never built a coop before. What do we need to do that? And finding the resources necessary to get to build it, and then enjoying the process of actually building it. Right now, currently, we're working on gardening, and it has not been the most successful experience for some of us, but it's been enjoyable in the fact that you learn from your mistakes and you hope to improve upon them the next time you do it. So yeah, don't ever stop wanting to learn new things. It keeps life interesting. Even making videos here on YouTube, it's been very enjoyable for the past almost 2 years now of figuring out how videos work, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have a microphone. Now, how do I put this into the computer? How do I edit it? Do I get some good music for the background? Do I make it adventurous? Do I get sappy? Who knows, right? Like, these are things that constantly give me a challenge when I get up each day. Even though I don't have a formal job to go to, I have projects in place that allow me to get to learn new things, make new connections, and with community members around me and the kids specifically that are living with us currently. And it makes life that much more meaningful. Well, I'm ready for a coffee break. Thank you guys for paying attention. These have been my top 10 tips for anybody choosing to retire, whether that's early, whether that's on time, whether that's late. If you're ready for that retirement journey, see how you did with these tips. Take them, don't take them, drink your coffee, have fun, learn something new. And we'll see you in the next one. You see what a collared shirt does, man? You see this? Enjoy your coffee, because it was worth it, right? You like it. The collared shirt was worth it.